We are bringing you details of an overnight shooting in Forest Acres that left a 52-year-old man dead. Forest Acres police meeting with the media right now to give us details. Let's take a listen.
This morning, our officers responded to a shooting inside a residence around 2:25 hours in the morning. When we responded, we found two residents in the home, one being the person that we charged today. Her name is Kristen Berger. She is charged with murder, charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, also charged with possession of a stolen firearm and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. There was a domestic altercation inside the home that led to this incident. This is a senseless act of violence, and as much as we do to try to eliminate and prevent violent crime, we still have these. We take this very seriously. Our officers are thoroughly investigating this incident. It is a continually moving incident. We still have more work to do, a lot more investigation to do. But I just want to advise the community that there's no danger to the community. This was isolated. The location was on Partridge Drive, which is the 200 block of that location. Are there any questions that I can answer for you?
Can you talk a little bit about her history? We understand that she had a criminal history of being violent and things of that nature.
She does have a prior background for domestic violence. We've had incidents in another jurisdiction and one prior our jurisdiction years before. They involved multiple partners, and all of those have been resulted in convictions. And so this will be the third incident, 2 prior convictions.
Chief, is this the first murder investigation for the department this year?
This year, yes. Actually, a complete murder, yes, with death, yes. We've had a couple of attempts, but this was the only one with an actual death.
Can you go through the timeline a little bit?
So it first started around about 10 minutes to 1 in the wee hours of this morning. Our officers responded to a complaint at that house. She had called us to respond to it on an alleged assault. She had claimed that the other person slapped her. When we responded, we investigated it thoroughly. We could not find evidence that we could actually make a charge at that time. We didn't see any manifestations of injuries. So then we sought alternate sources for the residents there. We offered her 2 options to leave the house, to go somewhere. We actually even called a relative to come pick her up to make sure we could get her out of an area that would be unsafe for either party. We made every effort to even the other party, try to provide them an opportunity to get away. All of our offerings and resources were denied. So we concluded our investigation, and then we departed, and then around 2:25 this morning, a couple hours after that incident, that's when we received a call of a shooting at that house.
All of her priors, do we know if she was on any type of probation or, why would somebody like that be out? If you have any insight?
Well, I can't speak for another agency and their sentencing patterns and all that. I know that there was a sentence that would have to be referred to another jurisdiction or another agency to provide those answers for you. Our job is to investigate fairly, and we do that. We give it the best we can. We're going to investigate every single one that we have. Domestic violence is an intolerable offense, and we are just going to always investigate and investigate thoroughly. Our job is to ensure that there's a fair investigation, and if we need to charge it, then we will. We don't back down from those kind of calls. We do it all the time. And we want the citizens to know that we have their back. We offer resources. If you are involved in a domestic situation, whether you are being accused of an assault or you're an attack of an assault, we have resources to help. We have our victims advocate here that will help direct and provide many types of resources. We want our citizens, if you have this situation, contact law enforcement, contact somebody, don't let it get out of hand. We are here for you. We're here to protect citizens, and we will provide as many resources as we can.
The incident happened at both of they lived together at that house, or was it one of their homes?
One of them, the house is owned by one person,
Okay.
but both of them actually routinely live there daily.
In the statement here, it says that there was suspicion that Garcia may have been a victim, but obviously you had to leave without evidence. Can you talk about what led officers to believe that he may have been a victim in this first call?
In the first call?
Yeah.
Well, just by his behavior, but it's still an ongoing investigation, so that one I can't really provide any accurate detail on that one. But we still have a lot of things to look at. So, but we didn't find any evidence at that time to go one way or the other. Nothing to provide us with we saw no manifestations of injuries.
And also, in regards to what she told you upon the second call after the shooting occurred, can you talk a little bit about what she told officers happened in regards to that shooting?
That's still part of the investigation. We can't divulge that one yet.
Do you know anything about the victim, maybe where he worked, if he had any other family or anything?
We know that he had family out of the state. I'm not sure. I've heard some things about he has some business. He's a business owner as far as I know. I don't exactly know where all the businesses were, but
The incident report says that the weapon in question was reported as stolen from KCPD. Can you clarify that for us? Was it stolen from the actual KC Police Department, or was it reported stolen by KCPD?
it was reported from a citizen to the KC Police Department in their jurisdiction. So we have sent a request in to get copies of their incident report, so we'll know exactly how it was stolen. But as far as we know, we don't know right now exactly what that is. We just know that it was reported to them, and they put it into the computer database. And then when we contact that weapon, we would contact the agency just to make sure it's still reported as a missing or stolen firearm.
Do you know when they reported that stolen?
I don't have that handy right now, but we can get it later.
You don't know any of the businesses he owned? Like, were there any in town? Like the business owner?
No, I don't have the answer for that one.
I know she's had other incidents that, going back to 2014, and then, of course, in another jurisdiction, but was this couple known to you prior to this incident? Had you responded to any other incidents at that residence between the two of them prior to this last incident?
No.
Can you speak to the initial contact that officers had with both the victim and the suspect last night, right before 1 o'clock? Is it standard protocol based on everything that the officers saw during the first call to not, remove someone from the home or transport? Can you, at this point in the investigation, do you feel comfortable that all those procedures were followed to allow both those people to stay in the house?
Right. We make every attempt to eliminate a potential problem. So if that's our goal, is to remove them, we will make every effort to try to offer them. But we can't make them leave unless they violate the law on some sort of a crime, and then we could force them out. It's a different ballgame. But we offer them, we try to give them every opportunity. We call different people. We will find other resources. There are advocacy groups out here that we'll contact after hours to try to find help. We just need them to join us in that effort.
I know we asked when we first got here if a bond hearing or a bond had been set for this person at this point, and we were told no. Do you have any updates on when that might happen, and if it has, what the results were?
With this type of charge, bond settings are done in circuit court or general sessions court. Those are set by the clerk of court. Sometime later on in the week, they set that date. We have no idea when it's going to be. It's different than it is just a normal average time.
She usually has a first appearance in front of a magistrate to get told that she's going to have a bond set at a second hearing.
No,
right?
with this charge, it goes straight to circuit court.
Oh, so she won't even see a magistrate in
No.
this case? Okay.
No.
Good to know. Thank you.
lived there together, whose name was on?
That one I can't divulge that information. Thank you. Thank you for coming. All right.
All right, that's the Forest Acres Police Chief Don Robinson. They're answering some questions about an overnight shooting that left 52-year-old Mauricio Garcia dead, a single gunshot wound to the head. The suspect is identified as 44-year-old Kristen Berger. This all happening in the 200 block of Partridge Drive in Forest Acres. An autopsy showing that Garcia died to a single gunshot wound to the head. As the chief was speaking, we did obtain some new information from the Forest Acres Police Department. Just to give you an idea of what happened here, authorities say that they were called to the home shortly after midnight of a report of a domestic incident. They found no evidence of a domestic incident and began to suspect that perhaps Garcia was the victim here. They advised Garcia to go to another room, stay in another room. They even offered to call Berger's mother to have her go stay somewhere else, but Berger refused. So, seeing no evidence of any kind of crime, officers left that residence shortly after midnight last night. About an hour and a half later, they were called back to that residence of a gunshot wound, and at that point, they say that they found the victim inside the home. He was taken to the hospital, and he was declared dead. And again, this was around 2:15 in the morning. Now, before that, on the initial call, and this is something that the chief did not talk about, they say that officers noted that Berger, the suspect in this case, appeared grossly intoxicated at the time when they were on the scene, but again, found no indication that an assault took place. They contacted Berger's mom, who offered to pick her daughter up. Berger refused. Officers noted Berger again appeared intoxicated. They offered an EMS evaluation or transport to a local hospital. She also declined that. At that point, they began to suspect Garcia rather than Berger may have been the victim in this case. They advised him to go into his room, lock the door to keep the couple separated. Neither was willing to leave the house without evidence of a crime. Those officers left. They returned after a report of an accidental shooting, requesting medical assistance. They ordered Berger out of the house with her hands raised. She complied and was taken into custody. First responders entered the home, attempted to help Garcia. They transported him to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Again, investigators recovering a weapon used in the shooting. At the scene, they determined it had been reported stolen in Casey. They also say that Berger has a documented history of domestic violence on domestic violence-related assaults involving multiple partners. 2 prior convictions, one in Forest Acres in 2014, another in West Columbia in 2022. We're working to get more details of this story as it continues to unfold out of Forest Acres. Of course, as always, you can find that information right here and on our website, WLTX.com.